Certainly a busy travel day here at Newark Liberty Airport, where international travelers are returning for the first time in nearly 2 years. But it comes with some new rules that are in place.
We're building contains the tallest building in the world at 1,025 feet.
At the end of the day, most businesses that were not extremely backed by a hedge fund or something like that have years and years of savings. They're recovering now. The mindset to be more like, what would it take to help this person recover?
It's their response to the crisis that led to this renaissance. Because I'm going to be honest, we're not going into Soho. We're not going into Soho. It's not gentrified. This is literally communities that still today are holding out there, thriving, trying to find better ways to improve their circumstances, okay? Mostly working class people still today. And it really is quite extraordinary when you think of how they've managed to move forward in the face of so many obstacles that threaten their opportunities and their way of life, okay?
The first focus has been with launching outdoor tours, because outdoor tours are, the safest from what we've been able to ascertain from the current science, and people are pretty comfortable taking tours outdoors. And then the secondary thing is expanding our virtual tours and offering them to both schools and to corporations.
All right, so it's this picture here. Okay.
We'll put that on the other side, because I want to put the white door. We'll have the picture of him in his before the incidents. Or even on top of the beauty supply store.
The tour that we just launched is called the Know Your Rights Tour, from the Central Park 5 to the present. And that is a virtual tour where me and my fiancé, Derrek, actually went across the city to different sites where there were unarmed shootings of Black men, to discuss how those things happen, or false arrests, or just various miscarriages of justice around the criminal justice system, as well as some of the heroes that rose up to try to rectify the injustice. This is a tour that's extremely important, because what it's meant to be is an insight into what's happened in our city. We go actually all the way back to uprisings that happened in Harlem in the 60s. We would educate people about their rights. So the vision is that we're going to roll this out to public schools and also to parents, because we think it's really important for parents to understand and have these conversations with their children.
It's over there, the clock, everything is as it was. And they really maintained the building beautifully. The Daily News is no longer here. It's an office building. But they maintain the integrity of the original.
In my opinion, the only way we're going to say that New York is truly back is when the tourism industry is back as well. I believe they are interconnected. Our success as a state and the success of this industry.
Well, I'm glad that she at least recognized that there was such a thing as tourism businesses, and I'm happy for it. But honestly, it's kind of like, if you survived and made it this far, you probably already have a plan in place. Because that same business could have shut down if they chose to. If they chose to be here, it's because they wanted to be here and they worked really hard to be here. I would think it would make more sense to tie it to recognizing past effort. Maybe if it was like, if you during this time period retained employees or even expended certain costs, because if you had to keep people on your payroll, there would have been costs related to that.
If we look in the opposite direction, we can see, first of all, the Manhattan Bridge.
So there's a couple of things happening from the business management side. The first thing is just figuring out how to reopen and when to bring on staff. So in terms of how to reopen, we've had some experiences that are completely outdoors and others that have some indoor component. For example, as a company, we did a lot of Harlem gospel tours. And so it's been figuring out when to reopen those tours, which we're not going to open until April 2022. And then what kind of protocols to have in place. So the standard that I've laid out for international visitors is that you have to be vaccinated to take our tours that go inside of anything, whether it's a vehicle or it's a church. And then you also have to have a mask. And in terms of rehiring guides, it's really waiting for the tourists to come back. So a lot of the domestic tourists are here, but their international tourists have just been allowed to come back from Europe. And so just kind of thinking about how do we hire back the right number of people for the demand. So that is a process of kind of watching how the demand is growing and when to hire people.
It's not about just offering affordable housing to people. It's really about anchoring them within the community. So you have to give them opportunities.